about it later. And we're live. Come on, come all. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't. And what we is here today at 1 o'clock on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Today, I'm pretty sure it is, right? And today I have with me Eggs for Brekkie, aka Daniel. Daniel, say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So, the chapter 1021 of One Piece dropped. And even from the first page on the cover page, was this not just a hands down standout chapter?
It was a big chapter.
This was a fucking hefty chapter. And it just was like, it was just every moment of it was just like, what the hell? Like, was it not? Like, dude, the fact that the cover page request is Frankie and Senor Pink catching up and Senor Pink telling him the story about Russian.
Yeah.
Like, that alone already had me like emotional from the beginning of the chapter, not to mention just like all the stuff with Robin, right? Because you know Robin is my favorite female in One Piece, all right? And
Mhm.
oh my god, even the shit with Momo at the end. So, okay, where do you want to start with this? Do we want to tackle it from the beginning, or do we want to just jump into what we want to talk about? Because
We have
this
to
is a
go
wild
from the
chapter.
start.
Go
We're
from
gonna
the
have to
start.
take it from the start.
All right, rolling on from the top, ladies and gents. So we picked up where 1020 left off with Robin facing off against Black Maria. All right, Robin's gigantum fleur, I think it is, where she makes a giant body and a few arms, and yeah, pretty much Black Maria calls her out straight away, and she goes, "That must be pretty draining." Um,
Yeah, so here's the thing. I said last chapter that we're reviewing that this is like Robin's Gear 4.
yeah.
And I thought this was going to be like really, really strong. And then she says that must be quite draining. And then I'm thinking, yep, Gear 4, Gear 4. But as we'll see later, this is not like Gear 4. She's got another Gear 4.
Robin's crazy. I love her. So Robin comes darting in here with sea serpent hands, right? And like, I love Robin, but man, she got no chill, right? So she goes straight for the limbs. She's going straight to try and crush her legs and like mitigate her movement here, which I mean, it's great, but it's also so sketchy. Um, Black Maria though starts cutting the absolute crap out of her though with the with her. I don't even know what to call this. It's a pinwheel. That's all I can
Yeah,
describe it as.
basically. It's like kind of like a spear, but with like a wheel on the top.
So the fight gets
Very
a
ineffective spear.
the fight gets a little rough. Black Maria's darting around, just cutting her arms up. Which this is the first time we've known Robin gets hurt if her limbs get hurt, like she feels the pain. But this is the first time we've seen her receive an injury from the limbs.
Yeah, like it actually cut her physical arm.
Yes, which is news to us, which also gives a reasonable nerf to Robin against some of the stronger characters in the series.
Because then theoretically, if say like Aokiji were to freeze her arm, it would freeze her actual arm,
Mm,
which is much bigger than just like hurting her. If you get
yes,
what I mean.
yes.
Like if freezing her created arms just hurt her, that's fine. She just deal with the pain.
It
But
it
if it actually
appears
freezes her physical arm solid, that's pretty brutal.
it appears to work on the same mechanics that Hawkins' ability does, where it transfers like instantaneous, which leaves Robin in a bit of a bind here as Black Maria darts around, just spinning around her pinwheel, cutting the hell out of Robin's arms until she lets go of all the abilities. Robin tries to counter by grabbing her spider legs again, but turns out Black Maria has poisoned limbs, which, interestingly enough, here, I don't know if you know about this, but the spider that Black Maria is supposed to be, like the fruit she's supposed to have, right?
Huh?
Is not poisonous nor venomous. It's a type of tarantula, as far as we know.
Hmm.
Which is leading me to believe Black Maria, Sasaki, both of those people did very weird things. So Black Maria here, her spider breathed fire, and it also has the poison, right?
Yeah.
Sasaki had the helicopter Triceratops horns. I'm wondering if some of the Flying Six, if not all the Flying Six, are actually modified by Queen,
Yeah.
making them cyborg zones to some capacity, just on a lesser extent to him, if that
Yeah,
makes
that could be
sense.
possible.
Because they might be adding bonus effects and features to some of these members. You know what I mean? Just to amp
Yeah.
up the crew a touch. Um, but yeah, Robin gets stuck here in a spider web. Interestingly enough, this is the first time we see the webs coming from Black Maria's hands as well, implying she doesn't just have to use the spider's
Tail.
butt to cast web. She can do it with her hands, which also makes her a little more busted than ought reasonably need to be, right?
Yeah. So far in this fight, Black Maria is having an incredibly good showing.
Incredibly good showing, yes. She is agile, she is good at entrapment, and she is using her abilities to the best of her advantage, right? Also, she says specifically that she's actually a martial artist and does boxing more than anything.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is the reason why if it isn't a unique part of her ability, it's the reason why she keeps her human form on top of the spider instead of going into whatever her hybrid form would be separate to this. If that
Yeah.
makes
Right.
sense. Because if she fights predominantly with her normal hands, turning into something that's got 8 limbs but no fingers, no hands, right, would be
Hmm.
actually more of a detriment to her in combat.
Yeah.
And I feel so sorry for Robin here because
It feels to me like it's a little bit out of nowhere, her being a martial artist. It doesn't seem like it fits very well.
but that's also it doesn't fit, but it also is like it's entertaining enough. You know what I mean? It explains why she puts on the knuckle dusters to fight and why she was just wailing on Sanji and stuff like that.
Yeah, true, yeah.
But I gotta say, I feel so sorry for Robin here because she's copying the Capone effect, where Capone and Big Father just gets ragdolled inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got to say, it really did mess Robin's face up. Like, it did a
Yeah,
lot of damage, those few punches that she took. And when you compare that to how many punches Sanji took, then he's fine.
yeah.
It's pretty impressive for Sanji. Like, Sanji's just tanked her punches, like, without even being able to defend.
Not even using Haki to block. Just
Yeah,
on a pure natural standpoint, he's superior to Robin in terms of just living, like
yeah, just
vitality.
tankiness. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, then we have Black Maria going to throw another, super strong left haymaker. Robin drops the Giganto Fleur, and she goes back into a normal form. She tries to quickly snag Black Maria from all angles, but Black Maria just whips her fingers around Doflamingo style and creates a web. Interestingly enough, um, although Black Maria is a spider zone, it seems like Doflamingo's strongs are significantly stronger than Black Maria's webs, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um,
Well, I mean, like, seemingly Doflamingo would hockey us up
well,
when
even
when hockey goes.
even the ones that don't have Haki from Doflamingo seemingly are a lot stronger. So it is interesting because you got to think as well in terms of like the Beast Pirates Alliance. Doflamingo would have been part of the Beast Pirates Alliance in some capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's probably had dealings with all these people. So it's interesting to see where he sort of his abilities sit in their totem pole of hierarchy. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess a web would inherently be weaker than a string because a string would be made out of like a stronger fiber than
Yep.
the web would be. Whereas like webs are supposed to be more flexible and malleable and sticky.
Yep. Which
Strings would be stronger, more tensile strength.
it's good. I'm not trying to say Black Maria would have been weaker or stronger than Doflamingo, although I do think Doflamingo is a fair bit stronger.
Doflamingo would just
Yeah.
yeah.
I at this point in time, I actually think I don't know if Kaido ever actually saw Doflamingo go all out in a fight. I would actually say that Doflamingo might probably sit around equal, if not above Jack, but under Queen. I
Okay.
don't, I don't know. Like Jack's tanky as anything, but like every now and then, like I've just recently gone back and had a look at the Doflamingo fight a bit, and gone back and had a look at the Katakuri fight a bit, and it's like when they're coming out, we analyze them to death, right? And we're certain we know how strong these people are, right? And then the next arc, we start having to fill our head with more information from new people, and you start to forget some of the little minute things of some of those people. Where when you go back and actually have like a relook at them, you're just like, yo, holy shit, they were just like unstoppable. Like if it wasn't for Luffy, some of these people are just like never slowing down.
I mean, realistically, I feel like if Jack took like an army, like a ship and an army to Dressrosa, he could wipe it out. I feel like just narratively speaking, like that would have been why Dofi was so scared of Kaido because any of the commanders could have just rocked up and just wiped him out. And that kind of like sits pretty well with the whole idea of like I am Queen the Plague, I am Jack the Drought, like we are natural disasters. Everywhere that we go, we like wipe it out. Like it would take someone special to really stop them from doing that.
I would have loved to see Jack try to fight Picker. Because as far as we know, Jack's got no ranged abilities.
Yeah.
So it just could have been like Picker, who's significantly weaker than Jack, just wailing on him in giant form, and Jack just being like, "Well, I'm not getting hurt, but I can't do anything to stop this guy." You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah. So we get this scene here where Black Maria's fire spits fire. So definitely not something spiders can do, as far as I'm aware. Unless Oda's just making it a gag where ancient zones have all these abilities because you don't actually know what ancient zones were capable of, because you don't actually know what dinosaurs are capable of. It's all hypotheses.
Yeah, true. I mean, like One Piece is pretty like absurdist, so
Oh, yeah.
I could totally see him adding weird stuff like that to these creatures.
I mean, you got to look here. You got a spider with a tattoo. I don't know if an exoskeleton is easily tattooed. But hey, it is what it is. So the webs get all done in, and Robin gets stuck in a series of webs where she cops a few more punches, and she looks beat the hell up, which is what leads us to the Robin Rayleigh flashback. Alright? And I'm calling it the Robin Rayleigh flashback even though it's not Rayleigh, because that's essentially what it is, alright? This is where Robin's Gear 4 comes into play, does it not?
Yeah.
Um
So, yeah,
I
bit of a subtle criticism on this.
Yep.
This whole flashback was basically them teaching her to do this haki up, assumedly haki up palm
Well,
attack.
I actually don't think it was Haki, which is what I want to I'll analyze it with you and tell you my thoughts on it as we go through. But I actually, going through and having a look at it, it seems as though what ends up happening is Sabo and Koala wanted to teach her the ability. Robin ends up settling for Koala's ability, where she tries to learn Sabo's but doesn't quite learn or have the ability to pick it up in the same capacity, if that makes sense.
What it seems like to me is like Robert I think Sabo's is a bit too advanced. She
Yes.
doesn't. I don't even know if she tries to learn Sabo's. I think they more kind of just like unanimously decide to teach her the palm attack. And yeah, sorry, I was wrong. It wasn't. It was fisherman karate.
Yep. Haki.
But the thing that I wanted to point out is like this whole flashback was seemingly built around learning this fisherman karate palm attack, and then that is used once
Yep.
just to take down the roof, and
Yep.
then that's pretty much it.
So,
It seems a bit weird.
interestingly enough, though, the fact that she even has the ability to use Fishman Karate, even on a small capacity, leads me to think about two things. One, it makes it a bit more understandable why she's being displayed at the moment a bit more buddy-buddy with Jinbei. Because she might have a bit better of an understanding of it, like...
Yeah.
Not saying that she's, like, comfortable with, like, his fighting ability or trying to learn his fighting ability or anything stupid like that. But just, like, her comfort in, like, having learnt Fishman Karate from Koala and Hack and that sort of stuff, she just might sort of gravitate towards his personality a bit more, if that makes sense. Just having an understanding of, like, what's entailed in him, which is interesting. It's also interesting that we got this somewhat foreshadowed at the very beginning of the time skip without knowing it. Not that we would ever know because it was underwater, so you wouldn't see any of the ripple effect that's normally shown with Fishman Karate because underwater, not, on land.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I think happens here is Koala says, I'll teach you Fishman Karate. Sabo goes, I'll teach you, Dragon Claw, which, as far as we know, is advanced armament. It's Rio, right? Mixed with
Well,
a good understanding
rather,
of observation haki.
it's possible that it is just normal haki in that fist, and he adds Rio to it.
Yes. But, like, from what we understand, it's he hakis up his fist, clashes, or makes contact with something, and then shoots Rio through it after. For any, like, I know that we've personally talked about this a fair bit, but we probably haven't done it on stream, or if we have, I can't remember. But it's pretty evident to me that Saba was using Rio actually in the clash against Jesus Burgess, because if you actually look at their conflict in the manga, as opposed to the anime, they clash. Their armament haki is actually equal. No one gets the upper hand in the armament haki clash until Sabo ends up using Rio to crack through Burgess' armor, and even that, it doesn't actually damage Burgess, it just sort of blows away his armor. So, Sabo is seemingly capable of this stuff. But anyway, so yeah, essentially Robin learns Fishman Karate, and she does her Gigantum. Is it just called Gigantum? Mille Fleur Fishman Karate Gigantum, which is pretty broken because, I mean, at this point in time, what's to stop Robin creating multiple fists that are giant with Fishman Karate?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, possibly just a bunch of effort.
Okay, we've got a comment here from Mary Martos. Look at Robin's sprouting arms when she first transforms into Demon Fleur. Notice how they look like her normal flesh, and the panel where she does the jacuzzi clutch, her arms have turned black. Maybe it's a hint that she's using haki. Now, actually, I analysed this pretty hard in my live reaction, but we'll go through it again here. So we'll drop down. I personally think that none of Robin here is using haki. I think this whole thing is actually just more silhouetted as she's made herself giant. The reason I say it's not haki is for a few reasons. One, up until now in the pre-time skip, whenever Luffy's been asked who has haki on his crew, he's said only Zoro and Sanji have haki, right?
Yeah.
And seemingly haki's something that when you have it, you can sense if someone else has it. If you have observation haki, at least. If that makes sense. Number two is, I think what's actually happening here is Robin's using her ability to flower to actually shape her own body parts here to sort of live up to the idea of the demon child. You know what I mean? It's more of an intimidation factor. Because if you actually sort of take a think about it, pre-time skip, Robin actually used to use her ability to make wings as well to fly. So this sort of might just be her... Because notice, it seems different to what Robin did at the beginning of the chapter where she made a giant body. With the giant body, it was separate to her. This seemingly is her sprouting stuff around herself to increase her size herself.
Yeah.
So this isn't a separate entity. This is Robin herself. And so if you...
Essentially her growing.
Yes. And so if you actually have a good look, when she first forms, she's got that sort of black look. But down the bottom right of the page, you actually see her and her limbs not have any black shading.
Yeah.
So down the bottom right, you show it's clearly not all coloured up the same it is in the panel before and after. And so if you actually take a notice of what happens, Robin actually spawns her arms, snaps Black Maria's legs backwards in a bind, spawns four arms, to grab either one of her arms and pin her down, and then get her in a judo clutch around her waist, while she spawns a leg to do an axe kick over her neck, and then uses her leg once it comes down on the axe kick to essentially almost snap Black Maria's neck as she pulls it to the side.
Yeah.
Which, fucking hell, Robin is ruthless. I love my girl.
And I mean, that's the thing, is that she's been taught a whole bunch of dislocations and stuff from Hack, right?
And she's always been a dislocation-based fighter herself.
Yeah.
All pre-time skip, she would go for... Yeah.
He was taught that, yeah. But that's what I mean, like, seemingly she has that one palm attack, but then other than that, as a striker, she doesn't really have much strength. So she grows in size, and then she can grab people with like multiple arms, and then her job is essentially just to pick people in half.
Get them in a lock, get them in a joint clutch or whatever. But something I want to sort of focus on here is we know it seemingly takes stamina for Robin to do this. Two things. One, notice she's actually grown sharp teeth. That's not something we've ever seen her essentially be bothered to grow before. We've never seen her flower teeth, especially increase the size of the teeth in her mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think that's just her leaning
But
into that devil thing, right?
well, I mean, seemingly how this sort of works is similar to Shogun Frankie. There is probably a core Robin in there. And she's essentially just controlling it giant, and because she can spawn eyes that still work as normal eyes, she can essentially make herself giant while her normal body's just hidden inside the body somewhere.
It would actually be, yeah, but the thing is that if you attack any part of that body, you're still hurting her.
But in that case, it's no different. She's essentially growing in size just for stronger compatibility. She can essentially turn herself into a giant.
Yeah, so it's not like she's doing anything like the guy on Dofi's crew, where if you attack him, you're just attacking the snot.
It's
It's
still
more like
it's a weaker
you're
version of
still
Picker.
attacking her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, then we
Yeah.
also
That is pretty interesting though. That like she is black silhouetted, but all of the arms that she's spawning are still normally shaded.
yes,
That would imply that she's not using hotkey. Because
yes.
otherwise, why wouldn't she just hotkey up those arms as well?
To me, it's more just for the fear factor here, which holy hell, it works well because Robin looks like an absolute monster in the best possible way. All right, in the best possible way. But then we cut over to Brooke one-shotting a number. Good on you, Brooke. I don't know if these guys are back up at all or gonna get back up in any form or shape, but I mean, Brooke here took down a number in a series of just random no-name gifters, but you got to think like the numbers. Even though Luffy's smacking them up and that, Luffy went gear 4 to take one out.
Yeah.
He didn't just run at it with a gear 3 punch and give it an uppercut and take it out.
And when he did that, everybody was comparing it to Nightmare Luffy and saying, okay, Gear 4 Luffy is just as strong as Nightmare Luffy.
Yeah.
If you want to say that, well, then is Brook now as strong as Nightmare Luffy?
And I'm not saying that this number is exactly the strongest because weirdly enough, this number looks a hell of a lot shorter than the other numbers.
That is true, yeah.
Because if you actually have a look there, it's really hard to gauge the height because Brook is the tallest Straw Hat. Brook is Doflamingo height. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, this number looks like a normal sized giant. She doesn't look Oars sized, like we've been told some of the other numbers are.
Yeah, she just looks like a normal giant.
Yeah. Which is still pretty impressive. But I dare say she might be one of the weaker members of the numbers, which also leaves us 1, 2, and 3 left of the numbers. So we haven't seen the numbers trilogy essentially. So hopefully they're stronger, and hopefully Kid's crew or Law's crew or someone of that capacity is shown taking them out, because like if Brook on his own is taking out a number, right? Give me Heat and Wire in a joint attack taking out a number so that they actually seem like they can do something. Because at the moment, all we know is that they're just taking out fodder, which is not impressive to me. And it's harming the other Supernova crews more than anything, in my eyes.
Yeah, I just don't think Supernova Cruise was supposed to be that good.
Oh no, but with Oda's, you know how Oda's really good at just giving a little bit of background information that makes people just like, oh my god, yeah, they're still relevant, and they even if they're not super relevant, it's like, oh, okay, they get a little something. You know what I mean? At this point in time, it's just like Kid's crew has not had even like if you had 10 numbers, right? You can throw one of them to their crews, even if it's a combined effort. You know what I mean?
See, I could see the benefit in that, but I also kind of see it as like the more that you give to the other crews, the less you can give to the Straw Hats. And if Luffy is gonna go one on one, toe to toe with a Yonko, if Luffy's gonna be like near Pirate King level after this arc, like all of the Straw Hats need a lot of time to develop and show.
See,
'Cause they need to keep up with him.
I agree, but at this point in time, right? It's like the Straw Hats are doing enough. They're doing more than enough. You know what I mean? It makes sense that Brooks taking out a number here. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, with the few that we've got left, all the Straw Hats have had reasonable feats, except for maybe Usopp this arc.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is that like if all Brook does is take out the weakest number in this arc, that's pretty sad.
True. Honestly, I would have preferred Brook to get wrapped up having to take on a Pooh and have a battle of musicians.
I mean that would have been really
Especially since a Pooh would be really weakened now, since pretty much everyone and their bloody mum has taken a one shot at a Pooh and knocked him down for a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Brook versus a weakened Pooh to me, after taking out numbers and stuff like that, would be interesting.
Yeah. That's
Okay, so after Black Maria, the last Topiropo, and one of the last numbers goes down. Notice that we have one of the Marys here watching it. So, although Bao Huang is taken out, seemingly whoever still has the connection to the Marys has the ability to find out that all the Topiropo have lost. As far as we know at this point in time.
yeah.
Which essentially leaves Kaido and the All-Stars left as the only sort of real big threat.
Yeah.
Which,
And so it's seeming like they are just gonna lose. So I'm guessing like if the CP0 members are now are seeing this, they might decide to be like, oh okay,
now's the
take some
time to
action
act.
here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, at this point in time, the Alliance's side hasn't really been injured too much. We're still losing on a numbers game, technically speaking, but none of our reasonable strength combatants have been taken out of this fight in any capacity.
Yeah.
So,
I mean Zoro.
Zoro's gotten that needle that's gonna magically make him be able to fight again,
Unfortunately.
for the next 24 hours. You know what I mean? He's getting the Zoro this arc is getting the treatment that Luffy did in Marineford, if that makes sense. Like, Zoro going in, fighting all the strong people, getting his ass kicked, and just being like, Eva, give me the hormones, I need it. You know? Bloody Zoro's just like, Mr. Miyagi, please give me the injection, I need it, I need to go fight some more people. Please, my captain's gonna die. But yeah, it's interesting to see that these people have gotten beaten, but also at the same point in time, all of the Flying Six, except for maybe Black Maria and Ulti, could arguably get back up.
Yeah.
They sort of got taken out like Team Rocket, you know, blasting off again.
I don't see a reason for them to get take. I think if they get back up, they're just gonna have to get off screen in a fight because it's not that interesting seeing them fight twice.
I understand that, and I somewhat agree. It would. Oh, we got a comment here. I like how some of the Straw Hats have demonic / devil themes to them, like Zoro, Onigiri, and Ashura, Sanji, Diablo Jambi, Robin, Demon Fleur. I mean, the Straw Hats are sort of the crew from Hell, and you got to think, right? There's a massive parallel here. A few chapters back, we got a chapter title called Hell, right? Where it was part of Roof Piece when we were on the rooftop fighting the Yonko. It paralleled perfectly in Ennie's lobby when Luffy was about to lose to Rob Lucci, and Usopp screams out, "This isn't Hell. This isn't where we lose." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then, half the series later, we're fighting not the strongest member of CP9, but the two strongest non-marine based people in the world, realistically speaking. And it's sort of like, this is Hell. This is where Hell is. So if the Straw Hats all start getting sort of like demonic themes after this, I mean, someone you didn't mention, there's Brook. You're talking about a living, walking, talking skeleton from the underworld. You can't get more demonic than that, can you?
He literally has like soul powers and afterworld
Also,
powers.
Calling it here, Brook's end of series bounty, 420 million. He's gonna get the Shinigami number.
Yeah.
And if it's not him, then it's the Doc Q from the Blackbeard Pirates. Brook or Doc Q, 100% having Shinigami numbers for their bounty. But yeah, then we cut to the last part of the chapter, and Daniel, you're right. You called it last week.
Yep. The
I
food.
Caribou just had a month's worth of food in him. I honestly, I didn't think you were gonna be right with it, but I didn't think it was far fetched. As soon as I saw this, I was like, shit, I owe you $5.
See, I didn't hear anyone. I didn't hear anyone saying it when I was like watching like chapter reviews and stuff like that. I didn't hear anyone saying that that was going to happen. People were just speculating on what he could be doing, and to me, it was like really straightforward. Like, yeah, he's going to give him food. That's his whole purpose of being there. I
Which,
felt like very confident about it.
which, you were right. I mean, damn, hot damn, you were on the money, man. Um, but yeah, so Luffy's eating, but the food's still not enough in his perspective. He still needs a little bit more, but it's enough to get him up a little bit of stamina. You know what I mean? But interestingly enough, we have Momo begging Shinobu to turn Momo into an adult. There has been theories about this for the longest. People have always sort of teeter-tottered on this is definitely going to happen or there's no way this is going to happen.
You've been calling this out over and over and over again, saying like Bonnie's going to somehow show up and he's going to become an adult, or Shinobu's going to be able to turn him older, or Toki's going to show up and somehow be able to age him, and you had all these different theories about different ways that he was going to grow up, but you were pretty hardcore about him
I
turning
just,
into an adult at some point this arc.
but the problem is, if he turns into an adult, I don't think he stays an adult. That's where I draw the line. I think if he turns into an adult, we're robbing him of a fair bit of his life, right? Which he's already had robbed from him. It would be fitting in a way to, sacrifice your life for the good of the people. But at the same point in time, like, Momo's Momo thinks turning into an adult here is going to make him emotionally mature enough to lead Wano and to be strong enough to help fight Kaido, right? But getting aged up isn't necessarily going to just switch your emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
still might be the crybaby. So it might be he gets turned into an adult here by Shinobu, or Shinobu refuses, right? Um, I kind of lean towards the idea that Momo's going to get turned into an adult here, and then after the arc, in some capacity later in the story, we're going to have Bonnie be able to revert Momo back to being his natural age.
I'm totally seeing him going up to Nami and trying to like hug into her breast again,
Yep.
and then she's like, "No," and slaps him. And is like,
Yep.
"Get away from me, you prick."
Then Kinemon has to be alive. Because if that happens, Sanji needs Kinemon on his side to be like, filthy pervert. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
calling him out on it. But I could definitely see it happening. So yeah, this is the death of Momo showering with Nami and Robin. Rest in peace. Um, but
So then, theories: is he going to turn into a giant dragon the same as Kaido, or is it going to be different?
arguably, is it going to be better? Because this is the only smile-based mythical zone. We
True,
don't
and it's
know.
also potentially like a completely properly made smile,
Yep.
not like a terrible.
Vegapunk regarded it as a failure, but was it a failure because you have to, like, could it have been a failure because the dragon is a baby when you eat it? You know what I mean? You know how, like, the other, how we know the smiles work so far is you eat the smile and the spirit of the animal grows out of you, essentially. So it takes, like, animal DNA. With the dragon, right? We know Kaido was captured in the past and that. What if it's more along the lines of how Vegapunk's worked is once you eat his version of a smile, it births the creature that you can turn into and control and, like, become part of, right?
Yeah, but you're going to be a baby dragon no matter what at the start.
Or yeah, so like it has to naturally age up itself, potentially.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a failure. That's why Vegapunk didn't just give it to some adult marine. Because imagine being a marine in your 40s, having haki, you get given a fruit and you turn into a baby dragon that won't be useful for another 40 years.
I mean, it could be that it was never a failure, and he just listed it as a
Oh,
failure because he didn't want to to admit to the world government that he could create fruits on a whim
Which,
because that is broken.
which, pulling back for a second here, you have to remember, Momo turning into a dragon here with CP0 present means if CP0 find out, Vegapunk's in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, there's a potential backlash here for CP0 to go try and take out Vegapunk.
Yeah, that is true.
Because getting lied to by the Marines, or by the world government, like getting lied to the world government and all that sort of stuff, they don't stand for that shit. They do not.
Yeah.
They get savage. They go crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen next, if that makes sense. I think the next few chapters, right? We cut between setting up whoever it is King's gonna fight, if it's still Marco or if it's someone else. I think Zoro gets healed up, starting to run around and do that sort of stuff. We get a little bit more maybe of Sanji versus Queen. Get Momo aged up. All in all, though, once Momo's aged up and Luffy's on his way back, we're on a countdown now, again, if that makes sense. We're on a countdown until Luffy arrives, and then we're on a countdown again between Luffy arriving and Onigashima landing on the Flower Capital. So last week, we theorized it was around 20 chapters at most until Onigashima made it to the Flower Capital, right?
Yeah.
So say it takes 5 chapters of Luffy on Momo trying to fly back up to Onigashima, right? While we see a little bit of other stuff. Then we see the beginning of Luffy versus Kaido again, where Yamato steps down, right? And for all we know, maybe Yamato steps down from fighting Kaido and takes on King on Marco's behalf. And Marco starts trying to help out the Alliance, take out the rest of the fodder. And that's how the number game plays out. But whatever happens, right, at this point in time-wise, I reckon we've got 20 chapters until the conclusion of whatever's going to happen with Onigashima. We've got about 5 chapters until Luffy makes it back there, right? And then on top of that, we're going to have the beginning of the Luffy fight and then cut away, finish everyone else's fights consecutively, then go back to Luffy versus Kaido for the finale. Or it is setting up for it to be a fake-out finale. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of thinking... I think from here on out, Luffy's story is going to get off-screened until he shows up next to Kaido. I think basically all of Momo growing up and things like that, Momo's just going to appear in the sky as a massive dragon, as like a big reveal.
I think we get a silhouette of adult Momo.
Yeah. I honestly feel like we're going to see the big dragon before we see adult Momo. I think adult Momo is going to be the reveal. And we're going to see the dragon first. I think the next few chapters are just going to be... we're going to go back to Sanji. We're going to basically show... We've already shown, basically in sequential order, all of the Flying Six members going down. Now we're going to start seeing each of the All-Star members going down. Maybe there'll be like 2 chapters per All-Star member. And then there's going to be... or maybe, maybe they're going to play them all out at the same time. And then there's going to be, during that time, we're going to keep seeing Yamato fighting King. She's going to keep getting pushed harder and harder and harder. She's going to be right about to collapse. And then you're going to see Momo with Luffy on top of him fly up next to her, or next to them on the rooftop. And as the big reveal of like adult dragon Momo with the...
I see it. I say going next chapter ends with adult Momo in silhouette, right? Then we cut away for a couple of chapters, get some more setup for the rest of the people. Then when Luffy finally makes it back to Kaido, we see dragon form Momo in silhouette. Then the chapter after, Kaido's like, what the fuck is a dragon doing here? I'm the only one with the dragon fruit. Which begs another question, right? Is Kaido going to try and kill Momo now? Because if Kaido kills Momo and gets the dragon fruit, he can have 2 people seemingly with his same power. So is he going to shift gears in his priority? Or is he going to try and shut this shit down because he doesn't want anyone to rival him?
Right, okay.
So is Kaido going to go the military might route? Or is he already positive that he's got the military might he needs?
I think Kaido's just gonna fight out everything that's in front of him right now, and then lose while doing so.
It would be interesting if, because this is a man-made devil fruit, if it has slightly different abilities to Kaido's devil fruit.
Yeah.
We saw the Vinsmokes have their genes manipulated and have different abilities. So they had lightning, poison, and seemingly each G had light-based attacks. Correct? With Vegapunk having learnt about the lineage factor with Judge, there's no reason to say that to replicate the... We know he was able to replicate Momo being able to fly, creating flame clouds, or clouds. He made clouds. They weren't fire clouds, Momo's ones. They were just regular clouds, right? Essentially, Momo flies by making sky islands to walk on.
Yeah.
So, if that's different already in the fire and the land aspect of it, well, it's to stop Momo having light-based attacks and poison-based attacks to be in opposition to Kaido's normal mythical dragon abilities.
I mean, that is possible. It's pretty interesting because, yeah, we haven't seen Kaido fly on clouds, but that is generally how dragons are supposed to, right? Like even in that Raya and the Last Dragon, that movie,
See,
um,
we
they
got
fly on clouds. They create them as they like wiggle around through the sky, right?
we got told that Kaido makes flame clouds that he stands on, but they're just so small that you can't see them.
Yeah, right.
But flame clouds are different to Momo's clouds, are they not?
But then, if you were going to say that Momo has clouds, then wouldn't they be wind elemental?
Yes.
Kaido has wind, right?
Yes.
It's not like an element that Kaido just doesn't possess.
See, well, the way I was taking it is it's possible that Momo's flying is actually more like he's creating a sky island cloud. So you know how in One Piece there's regular clouds, then there's like the sky island clouds that they use to actually make the foundation for their like countries on.
Yeah, but what kind of element would that be?
They said it was. Oh, I only just read it the other day. It was Plyrophon or whatever. I sent you. Remember that screenshot I sent you? They mentioned part of it there. One of
Yeah,
those.
but that's supposedly a mineral.
Yes.
It's not going to have the power of a mineral. It would have to be elemental in nature, right?
Not necessarily, because what I was saying is if it's a man-made ability, instead of it being a naturally forming element, it might have been like how Vegapunk got around it by mixing different abilities. Like if you had the ability to produce a mineral that creates sky clouds that you can run on, you know what I mean? It gives off the same effect as flying that the normal dragon ability does with its flame cloud.
It'd be possible. I just think it's more likely that it's just like kind of a similar normal dragon.
It would be either way. At this point in time, we're getting Kaido and Momo coming face to face in dragon form, which is going to be interesting. Have you ever seen the color pages of the Straw Hats from Sky Island, Daniel?
No, I guess not.
So in that, they have a cover page of all the Straw Hats in kimonos. Luffy's wearing the Kozuki crest in Sky Island.
Oh, right? Yes, I have seen that.
With the big pink dragon.
Yep.
I have a damn good feeling that that's what Momo is going to end up looking like.
Giant pink dragon.
Yep.
Yep,
I can't find it off the top of my head here, but we'll just leave it. But yeah, so I dare say Oda's has had Wano in mind for a long time, right? Seemingly, he's had pieces of it in mind since Sky Island, which is interesting enough since the story of Wano is linked to Sky Island in some aspects. Apart from Kaido being introduced on a Sky Island, you also have to look at the fact that Kozuki Oden went to Sky Island. Another thing I've got to ask, actually, do you think adult Momo is going to look more like Oden?
I really don't know. I don't think he'll look the same as Oden, no. I think he'll grow up a bit different.
yeah, it's at this point in time, and I know I've said it a few times lately. I just like I'm waiting for Oda's rug pull, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because part of me is like lulled into a sense of I'm like I feel like we're coming to a natural conclusion, but then part of me is like it never just concludes naturally. There's always
In,
something slightly
this
off.
hasn't been this hasn't been that smooth, right? If he's lost for a second time, like he told everyone to go back downstairs and said, "I've got this," and we all kind of went, "Oh shit, he seems like he's got
I
this.
mean,
It seems like it's gonna be hard, but it seems like he's gonna win this."
I remember when that chapter
And
dropped, we were all confidently saying Luffy top 10.
yeah, and basically we were all saying like, okay, Luffy is straight up just gonna like win right now because I don't see any other way around it. Like he can't just lose because nobody's with him to like save him. And we just thought like Luffy was just it was gonna be hard, a struggle, but he was gonna win the fight, same way that he did to like Katakuri. But then he gets knocked off the edge and then gets recovered, and now he comes back up for a third round. I think this is it. I don't think there's going to be much of a rug pull.
So
I think this is just he's finally going to do this.
I have something to bring to your attention. If you scroll back to the Robin flashback, right, where she's talking to Koala and that,
Yeah.
this is a big one, and this is very, very, very important to you to think about, right? Tequila Wolf is where Robin got sent during the time skip, correct? That giant bridge that they were making. I couldn't remember where that bridge was, but that bridge is actually in the East Blue. Now that might be a little bit interesting because it's where the journey began and all that sort of stuff. But you know what's very interesting? Robin is here with Koala, Sabo, and Hack, but they're not on Tequila Wolf. The ruins behind them actually look like Baltigo, which is in the New World, meaning Robin has already been to the New World before going back there with the Straw Hats.
What makes it look like Baltigo?
It's the same ruins and desolate wasteland are surrounding that Baltigo has. It's also the base of the Revolutionary Army. And if you actually have a look at Baltigo, it's got those same spires. That is next to Robin in the background where Hack walks over.
Yeah, okay.
So seemingly it's just off to the left-hand side of the revolutionary home base of Baltigo in the New World.
Yeah.
Which means, because Baltigo's near Dressrosa, but hidden somewhere. So Robin had already been to the New World before the time skip.
I mean, yeah, but I don't necessarily know if that's like it's not like you absorb magical powers by being in the world.
No, but it does change the story in a way of having all the Straw Hats go to the New World for the first time together, and it sort of explains why Robin's been really quiet about her, time skip adventures to the Straw Hat crew. Not just about keeping quiet to Luffy about Sabo, but why she just never really mentions anything that she did in the time skip to any of the crew.
I mean, I think she just knows a lot of stuff.
I mean, yes, but it ruins the adventure for the Straw Hats having. If Robin has already travelled to the New World, it sort of spoils their adventures a bit. Which, as we saw with Luffy in Sabaody, he doesn't like spoilers. You know what I mean? If something's going to ruin the fun of the surprise of the adventure, he'd rather quit being a pirate. It's just interesting to note, because if that isn't Baltigo, where is this island that they're mysteriously on that's very similar to Baltigo?
And they could be like literally anywhere. I
Mm.
mean, like that could be a whole year into their operation, and maybe she's just sort of following them around.
Well, we know that Baltigo is a mysterious island that you can't really just find easily either. The Blackbeard pirates only found it because they followed Jesus Burge's Vivre card, and CP0 only found it because they followed the Blackbeard pirates.
You would imagine that if Kuma was going to knock her away and wanted to send her to the Revolutionary Army, he would send her to the base,
Yep.
to the main base, right? So it would make more sense for her to go to the main base.
But either way, he did technically send her potentially he might have sent her somewhere safer because the East Blue's the safest of the Blue Seas. You know what I mean? Send her to the revolutionaries in the East Blue so that they can get in contact to get her to the main base.
Yeah,
Less
well, I mean,
threat
you
that way,
just
potentially.
don't know.
Hmm. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up about this chapter, or anything else you wanted to speculate about the chapters coming up?
I wanted to mention that, like, with the whole lineage factor thing, it seems like One Piece sort of has this like pretty consistent theme of like powers being passed down. Like they have the D being passed down. They have Conqueror's Haki that is seemingly at least somewhat genetic. Um, they have like fruits. When somebody dies with a fruit, that fruit gets transferred into another fruit. They have the whole Joy Boy seemingly being a reincarnation. They have all of the ancient weapons seemingly being a reincarnation. And they have that lineage factor, which Judge has been experimenting with. It seems like everything is sort of connected somewhat to a lineage factor. Whether or not lineage factor is like the right concept, or if it's just like the way that they currently understand it in their science, but like it seems like there's sort of this general theme of like powers being passed down among generations, and if one person dies, then like someone else in the future will inherit it. Um, and that tends to exist within fruits and within the D in the clan and within whoever Joy Boy is and all of that stuff. And I just think it's pretty interesting observation that like all of those things could be like conceptually linked,
Hmm.
like the passing down of the D and the passing down of being Joy Boy and all of that stuff could be very similar to the ancient weapons and very similar to the fruits and how they're passed down.
Interesting. Um, Taking another look here, right? Just back of that last little section, I just sort of clicked together. Jean Bart, the giant dude on Law's crew, and Caribou have a very similar design. I wouldn't be surprised if Caribou joins the Law Pirates, the Heart Pirates. I know he's in rags, but he sort of looks like he's almost got scrubs on. And you got to remember, Law isn't beyond recruiting people on islands. Um,
I mean, I could see that happening because I don't see him joining the main Straw Hat crew, but I do kind of see him starting to ally with the main good guys.
with the fleets in some capacity, it'd be interesting if
Yeah,
Caribou joins the Heart Pirates there, because I mean he sort of fits in with them in this spread here, does he not?
yeah, and I mean he doesn't have any. Yeah, that's true. He doesn't have any like crew members of his own anymore.
No, he bailed on
So
his brother and that. And interestingly enough, it would be being a Logia, it'd be a pretty big buff to Law's crew.
yeah, he could carry all their medical
Mm-hmm.
supplies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically, if they really needed to, they could always dock their submarine in him if they need to go through land.
Oh shit, that'd be insane.
That'd be a good way to get over the red line.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Imagine that. They artificially make Capone with Caribou by having their submarine inside Caribou. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, that has been a discussion for One Piece chapter 1021. I've got nothing really else to say about this chapter. Apart, it was a great chapter through and through, but being mostly conflict, there's not a whole lot to say. Other than just sort of breaking down what really happened, which I've already given my thoughts. It just seems like there was no Haki involved. Maybe the only thing you could argue was referencing Haki is finding the core. So maybe finding the core of an object isn't Haki based. Um, but the fact that Saba used Rio seemingly in Dressrosa implies to me that when he says, I could teach you Ryosoken and help you find the core of an object, um, it makes it a bit hard because Robin's flashing back to learning about the core ability seemingly, but that could just be as simple as finding a weak point, whereas Sabo takes it to an advanced level where he can apply a weak point with Rio to pretty much destroy anything.
Yeah.
So
It's also like worth it to note that like there was a flashback with Sabo doing it when he was quite young, and he would like lead raids from the revolutionaries,
Hmm.
and he like there was that thing he like ran into a building, and then suddenly the whole building just collapses, and so seemingly he's been able to use this ability for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
Either
Um,
he learnt Ryu pretty early on, or it's
I
not,
I
or
dare
it's easier.
say I dare say he learnt Rio early on because the reason for it is I think Dragon isn't above when someone has the drive and want to learn, like Sabo did, seemingly trying to challenge Dragon, Ivankov, and Kuma, right? When someone has that
Yeah,
drive like that, I don't think Dragon's beyond putting them through the ringer and just shoving them the advanced techniques to give them artificial increases in power. Because it's something that we've always criticized the Marines or the Yonko for not doing, you know what I mean? Why isn't part of orientation at the Marines going, you have Haki, you just need to unlock it. Train your ass off. You know what I mean?
yeah, true.
But all right. Well, that was chapter 1021. Cheers for watching. You know what to do. You know what's appreciated. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps out. Hit the bell icon for more notifications for content like this. Give the video a thumbs up if you haven't given the video a thumbs up. All right, it does help out us a lot. And peace. And until the next week, or until the next chapter of One Piece, or until the next video. Have a damn good day. Nothing but love, nothing but respect.